What if I told you that a simple 1971 $quarter coin, the kind most people have probably handled countless times without a second thought, could actually be worth a staggering $17 million because of the hidden errors, minting mistakes, and unique anomalies that make it one of the most valuable pieces of change in history? Would you believe it? Or would you rush to check every single quarter you've ever saved in your drawer, coin jar, or piggy bank, because the reality is that collectors and treasure hunters all around the world are fascinated by these unbelievable stories of everyday coins carrying life-changing values. And the 1971 $quarter is one of those legendary pieces that has captured imaginations, driven auction records, and turned ordinary finds into extraordinary fortunes. With its incredible worth tied to the tiniest details that went wrong during its creation, starting from off-center strikes where the design of George Washington's portrait or the eagle reverse failed to align perfectly with the coin's planchet, creating highly collectible misstrikes that stand out instantly to the trained eye, to double die obverse or reverse coins where the inscriptions like "Liberty, in God We Trust," or the date itself appear doubled or shadowed due to a misalignment in the hubbing process at the U.S. Mint, which in 1971 was a busy year for quarter production and inevitably led to rare error coins escaping into circulation. And then there are those fascinating transitional errors where a coin from one year accidentally gets struck using a leftover planchet intended for another denomination or another composition, such as the possibility of a 1971 quarter being struck on a leftover 40% silver planchet from the 1970s Kennedy half-dollar series, or even mistakenly being struck on a copper-cent planchet, nickel planchet, or foreign coin blank, and each of these rare mint mishaps results in something so unique and irreplaceable that collectors are willing to pour unimaginable amounts of money into owning them, pushing their values into the multi-millions, with one exceptional example of a 1971 quarter linked to an auction result that shocked the numismatic community when it fetched $17 million, a figure that cemented its place in history as one of the most valuable modern coins ever sold. And beyond the striking errors, we also find that condition plays a crucial role, because a 1971 quarter that has survived for over 5 decades without scratches, wear, or circulation damage, preserved in pristine mint state or proof-like condition, becomes incredibly desirable, especially if it features a sharp strike with full details in Washington's hair, crisp lettering, and a bold eagle design on the reverse. And such coins often achieve grading levels like MS-67 or higher, which is an astronomical rarity for quarters of that era, skyrocketing their auction values. And when you combine condition rarity with error rarity, that's when prices leap into the millions, transforming a 25-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar asset. But it doesn't stop there, because toning and eye appeal can also make a massive difference, with some 1971 quarters naturally acquiring rainbow hues of blue, red, gold, or green from years of storage in mint sets or special environments. And collectors often pay premiums for these visually stunning coins, further increasing their legendary status. And what makes the 1971 quarter even more exciting is the wide range of varieties discovered over the years, from differences in mint marks like the Philadelphia issue with no mint mark, to the Denver D mint mark that sometimes appears repunched or misplaced, to San Francisco proof issues with special strikes, all of which create opportunities for collectors to hunt, compare, and speculate, adding layers of intrigue to this coin story. And while many people dismiss the change in their pocket as ordinary, the stories of coins like the 1971 quarter selling for jaw-dropping sums serve as a powerful reminder that treasures can hide in plain sight, that a fortune could be sitting in your old coin rolls or change jar right now, waiting to be discovered. And this is why coin roll hunting and checking your spare change has become a popular hobby, because the dream of finding that one extraordinary piece is always alive, fueling endless searches, late-night hunts through pocket change, and careful study under magnifying glasses. And when we talk about a coin being worth $17 million, we are talking about history, rarity, condition, error, demand, and the magic of numismatics all converging into one perfect storm, making the 1971 quarter one of the most famous coins of modern times. A true legend in the world of money, a piece that proves small details can change everything. And so whether it's a dramatic off-metal error, a double die variety, an off-center strike, a full strike, gem condition example, or a rainbow tone masterpiece, the 1971 quarter has forever etched its name in the list of rare coins that inspire collectors, investors, and dreamers alike, and it continues to remind us to never underestimate the power of what seems ordinary, because sometimes the most valuable things in life are hiding in plain sight, just waiting to be recognized, cherished, and rewarded with the value they deserve. And that's why this story of the 1971 quarter isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the passion of collecting, and the belief that one small piece of history can carry immeasurable worth. So if you found this fascinating, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin stories, and keep searching your change, because you never know when you might be holding a fortune in your hand. Next, 1980p $quarter USA coin. What if I told you that hiding in plain sight within your pocket change there could be a coin so deceptively ordinary yet so unbelievably rare that it has shattered expectations at auctions and stunned collectors across the globe? A coin that on the surface looks just like any other quarter, but in reality is valued at an astronomical $2 million. And that coin is none other than the 1980p $quarter from the United States Mint, a piece of history that carries a face value of only 25 cents, but has achieved a legendary status among numismatists due to its astonishing rarity, unique minting characteristics, and a series of errors and varieties that transformed it from an everyday circulating coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that could change someone's financial future forever. And when we take a deep dive into the world of this 1980p quarter, we uncover layer after layer of fascinating details, from the Philadelphia Mint striking process, to the experimental planchets used during that era, to the precision flaws that slipped through unnoticed only to become treasures decades later. And this story is not just about one coin, but about the possibility that anyone could be holding such a fortune without even realizing it. So let's unravel the mysteries, starting with the year 1980 itself, a period when the U.S. Mint was producing quarters in massive numbers yet still working to perfect their designs, especially the Washington quarter, which had been in circulation since 1932, and though millions were minted that year in Philadelphia, only a handful emerged with striking anomalies that today push their value into the millions. Anomalies such as off-center strikes where part of the design is missing due to misalignment, double die obverse errors where George Washington's profile appears double creating a ghost-like effect, die cracks stretching across the coin like tiny lightning bolts, broad strikes where the rim is missing and the coin appears stretched, and even wrong planchet errors where a quarter was mistakenly struck on a smaller dime or larger foreign coin blank. Each of these freak accidents of production makes the 1980p quarter a prize beyond imagination. And what's more intriguing is that not all the valuable ones show dramatic mistakes. Some are simply in pristine uncirculated condition graded MS67 or higher, and because few survive decades of circulation untouched by scratches or wear, the rarity of such high-grade examples drives their auction value sky high. And imagine the thrill of finding one in a forgotten coin jar, a box of old change, or even slipped into your pocket as simple currency, the heart-stopping moment when you realize that you're holding a piece of metal that collectors and investors alike would fight for at elite auctions, with bids soaring past six figures, and in some cases topping the jaw-dropping $2 million mark. Now let's picture the scene at these auctions, with seasoned collectors, wealthy investors, and curious newcomers all watching as the bidding escalates for a small round piece of metal minted 45 years ago. The atmosphere electric, the hammer falling, and history being made as yet another 1980p quarter achieves a record-breaking sale, adding to its myth and inspiring countless treasure hunters to examine their own coins more carefully. And as we explore the journey of this coin, we realize that its story is not just about money but about heritage, artistry, and the sheer unpredictability of chance. For every time a die cracked or a planchet slipped or a strike went off center, the mint unknowingly created a rarity that decades later would change lives. And for collectors, these coins represent the ultimate challenge, the hunt for perfection or imperfection that transforms common pocket change into priceless artifacts. And it's this thrill of the hunt that keeps the numismatic world alive, driving people to check rolls of quarters from the bank, to scour flea markets, garage sales, and old collections in hopes of uncovering a 1980p gem. And what makes this hunt even more exciting is that the coin surface tells a story, the sharpness of Washington's profile, the clarity of the eagle on the reverse, the luster that reflects light like a tiny mirror, and when preserved in a high-grade state, the beauty alone makes it a centerpiece of any collection. Now think about the odds. Millions produced, yet only a microscopic fraction carrying the traits that elevate them into multi-million-dollar territory, which means the vast majority pass through hands unrecognized, yet the possibility lingers, sparking dreams of discovery. And if we trace the sales history, we see an upward trend, with collectors paying increasingly higher amounts, a testament to growing demand and the scarcity of these coins. And in the broader context of U.S. coinage history, the 1980p quarter is a perfect example of how modern coins can still command astronomical values, breaking the myth that only centuries-old pieces are worth fortunes, proving that even coins minted within living memory can rewrite record books. And as technology evolves, with grading companies providing authentication and secure slabs to preserve their condition, these coins gain even more trust and prestige in the marketplace, and stories spread across forums, videos, and news articles about lucky finds that turned ordinary people into millionaires overnight, fueling the global fascination. And that's the incredible power of the 1980p quarter, a coin that unites history, rarity, artistry, and luck in one small package, leaving us all to wonder if the next great discovery is already out there waiting in someone's drawer. So if you have old change at home, now is the perfect time to check. Because you never know when that shiny 1980p quarter dollar with its face value of only 25 cents could reveal itself as a multi-million-dollar jackpot. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss more incredible stories about coins that turned pocket change into life-changing fortunes. And who knows, maybe the next legendary discovery will be yours, with a quarter $1,980 PUSA coin and face value is $2 million worth. Big money in history. Next, 1982D quarter dollar USA coin. Today's story is about one of the most remarkable finds in the history of American coinage, the legendary 1982D quarter dollar that has shocked collectors, experts, and the general public alike by reaching an unbelievable value of $4 million due to its extraordinary errors, unique mistakes, and the fascinating possibilities that make it so rare and so desirable. So stay with me as we journey through the story of how a coin you might dismiss as just a simple 25-cent piece can actually be worth more than a luxury home, more than an exotic supercar, and even more than many people will earn in their entire lifetime, because the 1982D quarter dollar is not just any coin, it is a symbol of how the smallest details in minting, history, and chance can combine to create something of staggering value. And we begin by reminding ourselves that 1982 was a year of great transition for the U.S. Mint, a year when the country was moving through economic pressures, inflation, changes in metal compositions for certain coins, and modifications in minting technology, all of which created a perfect storm for errors and inconsistencies to appear in circulation. And among the quarters minted in Denver that year lies a handful of examples unlike any others, quarters that bear mistakes so unusual that they transformed an ordinary 25-cent coin into an artifact worth millions. And when we ask ourselves why is this coin valued at $4 million, the answers lie in a mixture of rarity, condition, error type, and collector demand, because coin collecting is not simply about owning a piece of metal but about owning a piece of history, a piece of chance, and a piece of mystery that no one else may ever possess. And in the case of the 1982 D quarter, the mistakes found range from double die obverse errors where the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" appear doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process, to off-center strikes where the image of George Washington's profile is shifted noticeably to the side, leaving blank space on the coin, to planchet errors where the coin was struck on the wrong type of metal blank entirely, such as copper-nickel clad planchets meant for dimes, or even experimental planchets that were never supposed to reach the public. And when such bizarre variations escape the mint unnoticed and enter circulation, they become instant treasures for those lucky enough to find them. But what makes the 1982 D quarter even more fascinating is the possibility that multiple error types may exist on a single specimen, such as a double die obverse combined with a broad strike error where the coin lacks its normal raised rim, or a wrong planchet strike combined with a rotated die. And these hybrid mistakes push values into the stratosphere because they represent a once-in-a-lifetime combination of circumstances that is virtually impossible to replicate, and collectors, who compete for such coins at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, know that the price is not just about the coin's metal value, but about the story it carries, the improbability of its existence, and the prestige of owning it. So when a 1982 D quarter showcasing these extraordinary features surfaced, and was authenticated by grading authorities like PCGS or NGC in mint state condition with nearly flawless surfaces despite its errors, the bidding war skyrocketed and the hammer fell at $4 million, cementing its place as one of the most expensive modern quarters in history. And if we dive deeper into the science of why errors like this happen, we learn that the mint relies on enormous high-pressure presses striking hundreds of coins per minute, and in such an environment even the smallest misalignment, mechanical failure, or accidental substitution of a planchet can result in bizarre outcomes. And while quality control systems usually catch these anomalies, sometimes mistakes slip through the cracks, and when they do, collectors know they are looking at a numismatic jackpot. And it is the rarity of survival that adds to the coin's mystique, because most error coins are quickly pulled out and melted down, but the few that escape into circulation may be discovered decades later in change, in old coin jars, or in inherited collections, waiting like hidden treasures to be uncovered. And that brings us back to why the 1982 D quarter commands such astronomical figures, because the rarity is compounded by condition, since very few circulated coins remain in pristine shape. But this particular specimen not only exhibited multiple errors, but also survived in a condition close to perfection, making it essentially one of a kind. And when something is one of a kind in numismatics, the sky is truly the limit for its value. So let us imagine the thrill of an ordinary person who might one day stumble upon such a coin in loose change or a collection, and suddenly realize they are holding a $4 million treasure in their hand, a discovery that could change their life forever. And that is why collectors, treasure hunters, and enthusiasts spend hours searching through rolls of coins, bags from banks, and old family heirlooms, hoping to be the next lucky person to uncover such a marvel, and beyond the technical errors and mistakes that define the value, there is also the human fascination with rarity itself, the knowledge that among billions of ordinary quarters minted in 1982, perhaps only a single one or a tiny handful exists with this combination of anomalies, making it a coin not just of value but of legend. And in the world of collecting, legends are priceless. So whether it's the doubling of inscriptions, the wrong planchet strikes, off-center images, die cracks that look like lightning bolts across the surface, or the misaligned reading on the edge of the coin. Every small imperfection adds to the coin's mystique, and when combined in extraordinary fashion, they produce a coin that transcends its face value of 25 cents and achieves a worth of $4 million. So the story of the 1982 D quarter dollar is not just about money, it is about history, chance, human error, survival, and the thrill of the hunt that continues to drive collectors all over the world. And as we share these stories, we also inspire countless others to start looking at their own pocket change differently, to realize that sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, and that a simple coin might just be the ticket to unimaginable fortune. And with that thought in mind, keep searching, keep collecting, and keep learning, because the next $1 million discovery could be closer than you think, perhaps even sitting in your wallet or coin jar right now. And that is the magic of numismatics, where every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth $4 million. Next, 1987 P quarter dollar USA coin. Today we are going to talk about a coin that looks so ordinary on the surface but carries with it a value so astonishing that it leaves people stunned. The 1987 P quarter dollar, a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint that in rare error forms has reached an unbelievable $2 million at auction. And in this script we will explore in extreme detail why this coin has become so valuable, what errors and mistakes make it worth big money, the historical background of the year it was minted, the endless possibilities of how these errors could have occurred, how collectors identify them, how grading services verify them, and why owning such a piece is considered a life-changing discovery for the lucky finder. So buckle up as we journey through every layer of this story, starting with the context of the 1987 quarter itself, because understanding its background is the first step in appreciating the enormous significance of its rare error examples. In 1987, the United States Mint was producing Washington quarters in huge numbers to meet circulation demand, with the Philadelphia Mint striking coins marked with the P Mint mark, and these were clad composition quarters made of a copper core with a nickel outer layer, the standard material for quarters since the Coinage Act of 1965 removed silver from general circulation coins. So at first glance, nothing about the 1987 P quarter seems unusual, because billions were made and most circulated heavily, making them common and only worth face value today. But as we know, the world of numismatics is full of surprises, and when even a single error coin escapes the mint under dramatic circumstances, it can completely change the narrative. And that is exactly what happened with the 1987 P quarter that later became worth $2 million, because it combined several shocking mistakes into one coin, creating a unique specimen unlike any other. To understand this value, let's break down the types of errors that could make a 1987 P quarter so valuable, starting with one of the most famous and desirable mistakes in all of coin collecting, the wrong planchet error, which occurs when a coin is struck on a blank mint for another denomination or even for another country. And in the case of the 1987 P quarter, reports suggest that one of the $1 million examples may have been struck on a silver planchet leftover from a special production, or struck on a foreign coin blank accidentally fed into the presses. And this instantly sets it apart, because by 1987 all circulation quarters were supposed to be clad. So a silver strike is an anomaly that should not exist, and when something should not exist but does, collectors clamor for it with incredible intensity. Another error that could contribute to the $2 million price tag is a dramatic double die, where the hub that imprints the die shifts slightly between impressions, creating doubling in the design that is transferred to every coin struck with that die. And if the doubling is bold and visible on key features like the date, the word Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the eagle on the reverse, it becomes a major collectible variety, with famous examples like the 1955 double die cent or the 1972 double die cent fetching tens of thousands of dollars. So imagine a 1987 P quarter with a dramatic double die combined with an off-metal planchet error, and you begin to see how the value could soar into millions. Then, there are striking errors such as off-center strikes, where the coin is misaligned in the press and the design is only partially struck, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area, and broad strikes where the collar fails and the coin spreads wider than usual, both of which are fascinating to collectors. And if a 1987 P quarter displayed a massive off-center strike while still preserving a visible date and mint mark, that would greatly increase its desirability. Another possibility is a die clash, when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly images of each design imprinted onto the dies and then onto coins, creating eerie overlapping impressions that error collectors love. And if such clash dies were used on a coin already suffering from multiple other mistakes, the result would be a true one-of-a-kind rarity worth astronomical sums. And we cannot forget cuds and die breaks, where parts of the die literally crack or break away, leaving raised blobs or missing sections on the struck coins, which are visually dramatic and always popular among collectors. And the combination of such a cud on a coin with other errors only amplifies its uniqueness. Now, when we ask why this particular 1987 P quarter reached a value of $2 million, the answer lies not only in the errors themselves, but also in their combination, condition, and rarity, because while many error coins exist, very few combine multiple dramatic mistakes, survive in high grades with minimal wear, and are authenticated by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. And when all those factors come together in a single coin, the value skyrockets into the millions, especially when wealthy collectors compete at auction to secure a one-of-a-kind trophy piece that no one else can ever own. Imagine being the lucky person who found such a coin, maybe while searching through pocket change, coin rolls, or an inherited jar of old coins, and noticing that the 1987 P quarter looked unusual. Maybe the metal tone was off, the design looked doubled, or the strike seemed misaligned, and upon sending it for authentication discovering that it was indeed a multiple error coin unlike any other, and then watching it sell for $2 million, a sum that could change your life forever. And this is exactly why people are so fascinated by coins and errors, because the possibility of treasure hiding in plain sight keeps the thrill alive. Let's take this further by considering how such a coin would be authenticated and graded, because in the numismatic world certification is everything, and coins like this are carefully weighed, measured, examined under magnification, and tested for metal content, with specialists confirming whether it is an off-metal strike, a double die, or another type of error, and once certified, the coin is sealed in a protective holder with a label describing its errors and grade, and that certification gives collectors confidence to bid aggressively, often sending prices into record territory. The auction environment also plays a key role, because when a coin is known to be unique, competition among elite collectors can be fierce, with each wanting to own a piece of history that no one else can claim, and that psychology can double or triple the expected price, which is how a coin that might be valued at hundreds of thousands in theory can actually sell for millions in practice. Another fascinating element of the 1987 P quarter story is the possibility that more examples might exist, because while only one has been confirmed to reach $2 million, there could be other error 1987 quarters still undiscovered in collections, rolls, or circulation, and the mere possibility of this keeps collectors searching with excitement, checking every coin carefully, weighing them, studying them under magnification, hoping to uncover another jackpot. And that's the magic of coin collecting, because it blends history, artistry, rarity, and the thrill of discovery into one incredible pursuit, and the 1987 P quarter worth $2 million is a perfect example of how even a modern clad quarter, something most people would dismiss as pocket change, can transform into a life-changing treasure under the right circumstances. The story of this coin also reminds us that errors are not flaws in the traditional sense, but rather accidents that become treasures, because while the mint aims for perfection, the rare times when perfection slips and mistakes occur, those mistakes become prized artifacts that tell the story of the minting process in ways perfect coins never could, and collectors cherish them for that very reason. And so the 1987 P quarter dollar worth $2 million stands as a testament to the incredible possibilities hidden in everyday change, proof that treasures are still out there waiting to be found, and inspiration for collectors everywhere to keep looking closely at every coin they encounter, because the next big discovery could be just one coin away. And if history has taught us anything, it is that even the most ordinary-looking coin can hold the most extraordinary secrets. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and who knows, you might be the next person to turn a 25-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar fortune. Next 1990 quarter dollar USA coin. Today, we are going to unravel the incredible story of the 1990 quarter dollar from the Denver Mint, a coin that most people would assume is worth only its face value of 25 cents, but which in rare extraordinary cases has been valued at up to $4 million because of unique and dramatic minting errors. And we are going to explore in depth what makes these specific coins so valuable, what kinds of mistakes occurred at the mint, how collectors chase them with passion, and why their story is so captivating to numismatists and treasure hunters alike. So buckle up, because this will be a long and detailed journey that opens your eyes to the amazing possibilities hiding in plain sight within the coins we use every day. The Washington Quarter Series had already been in production for decades by 1990, having first been issued in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, and by 1990 millions of coins were struck at the Denver Mint with a D mint mark proudly stamped beneath Washington's portrait, and for most of these coins there was nothing remarkable. They circulated freely in commerce, and today remain common. But the magic of numismatics is that rarity does not come from the overall number produced, but from the small handful that display unique mistakes. And in the case of the 1990 quarter, certain errors so dramatic and so rare have transformed this otherwise ordinary coin into a $4 million phenomenon. To understand how such value is possible, one must first understand the minting process and how errors can slip through, as coins begin as blank discs called planchets, which are struck by engraved dies with enormous pressure, and any misalignment, defect in the dies, or mistake in the blanks can produce coins that deviate from the intended design. And because the mint produces coins at high speed, small mistakes can sometimes go unnoticed, allowing a few error coins to escape into circulation, where they become highly prized by collectors. Among the most dramatic and valuable errors are double die strikes, where the die itself has shifted during creation so that when it strikes the coin the design elements appear doubled, often most clearly seen in inscriptions like, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date, and a 1990 quarter with such doubling in dramatic fashion would be instantly recognized as one of the great modern rarities, worth millions in pristine condition. Another significant error type is the off-center strike, which occurs when the planchet is not properly seated in the collar and the design is struck partially off its intended location, sometimes leaving large blank areas on the coin. And the more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the error, with extreme examples of 50% or more off-center being incredibly desirable. And if such a 1990 quarter exists, with strong detail remaining visible along with the off-center design, its value could skyrocket into the millions. Wrong planchet errors are also spectacular, happening when the quarter design is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, such as a dime or nickel blank, or even a foreign coin blank, and this type of error has historically produced some of the most valuable coins in numismatic history. So a 1990 quarter struck on a wrong planchet in uncirculated condition could absolutely bring $4 million at auction because of its uniqueness. Broad strike errors occur when the collar that normally contains the coin's rim fails to engage properly, allowing the coin metal to expand outward and producing a larger, flatter coin with unusual features. And though broad strikes are somewhat more common, dramatic and pristine examples from 1990 could fetch enormous prices, especially if combined with another error type, like doubling or misstrikes. Cuds and die cracks are another fascinating category, occurring when the dies themselves break or deteriorate, leaving raised lumps, lines, or missing sections in the struck design, and collectors treasure these as signs of minting history preserved in metal, and a large cut on a 1990 quarter would be incredibly striking to see and could add immense value to the coin. Transitional errors also play a huge role in rarity, as they occur when coins are struck with the wrong metal composition during periods of change. And while most 1990 quarters were clad in copper nickel as intended, if even a handful were accidentally struck in silver blanks left over from previous minting stock or in other incorrect compositions, such a discovery would be extraordinary, and the value of such transitional errors would easily climb to $4 million in today's market due to their extreme rarity. Even more mind-blowing is the mule error, one of the rarest types of all, where the obverse die of one coin is paired with the reverse die of another, creating a coin that should not exist. And although rare, if a 1990 quarter mule were discovered, perhaps with a mismatched obverse of a cent or dime, it would instantly become a world-class rarity commanding multi-million-dollar bids from the most serious collectors and institutions. Struck-through errors are another possibility, happening when foreign material like grease, cloth, wire, or other debris is caught between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving an impression in the finished coin, and such dramatic one-of-a-kind errors can be visually stunning and add immense value, especially when found on coins in mint state condition. Another fascinating error type is the missing clad layer, which can occur on clad coins, like quarters, when the outer copper-nickel layer is absent on one or both sides, revealing the copper core underneath, producing a striking two-toned appearance that collectors find irresistible, and a 1990 quarter missing a clad layer could easily rank among the most desirable modern error coins in existence. All of these error types highlight how a coin intended to be worth only 25 cents can, under the right conditions of rarity, dramatic appearance, and impeccable preservation, become worth $4 million. But condition is just as critical as the error itself, because collectors pay premiums for coins in uncirculated or mint state condition with full luster and minimal marks. And when a coin like the 1990 error quarter is discovered in such condition and authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC, it becomes a trophy coin at auction where wealthy collectors and investors compete to own it. Auction houses know how to showcase such rarities, with professional photography, detailed provenance, and global publicity, turning each sale into an event that excites the numismatic world and pushes prices ever higher. And when a coin like the 1990 error quarter crosses the block, it becomes the center of attention not only for collectors, but also for museums and institutions that may wish to display such a marvel. The Denver Mint in 1990 was producing quarters at a rapid pace to meet demand, striking hundreds of millions of coins. And while their equipment was precise, the sheer volume meant occasional mistakes slipped through. And because error coins were usually caught and destroyed, the few that escaped are now among the most sought-after finds in the hobby, fueling stories of people discovering fortunes in loose change, coin rolls, or inherited jars of coins. The legend of the 1990 quarter worth $4 million rests on the fact that such a coin represents the perfect storm of rarity, condition, demand, and dramatic error, making it not just a collectible but a once-in-a-lifetime artifact that can change the lives of those who find or own it. Imagine the thrill of discovering such a coin in a roll from the bank, realizing that what you thought was worth a quarter could instead be a life-changing $4 million treasure. And that possibility is what keeps collectors and hobbyists searching tirelessly. The cultural appeal of such coins extends beyond collectors, because they symbolize the magic of chance and the hidden treasures that lie in everyday life, reminding us that even ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value if we know what to look for. Every detail of the 1990 quarter, from the D mint mark beneath Washington's portrait to the eagle on the reverse, can reveal clues under magnification, and numismatists continue to search for new doubled dies, repunchment marks, or varieties that could become legendary in the future, further adding to the excitement surrounding this coin. Last 1973 $quarter USA coin. Get ready, because today we are about to take you on one of the most thrilling journeys in the world of rare coins and hidden treasures. A journey that shows how something as ordinary as a 25-cent piece that most people have held countless times in their lives can turn into a multi-million-dollar prize if it carries the right errors and mistakes. And the star of today's story is the remarkable 1973 $quarter, a coin that in its normal state is extremely common, since the United States Mint produced millions of them during the year. But in rare and extraordinary cases, minting errors, planchet mix-ups, striking anomalies, and other unusual factors combine to create coins that are so rare and desirable that one spectacular example of the 1973 $quarter has been valued at an unbelievable $3 million. And in this exploration, we are going to break down what makes this coin so valuable, the types of minting mistakes that could elevate its worth from just 25 cents to millions of dollars, the history and context of the 1970s minting process that makes such errors possible, and why collectors are willing to pay such staggering sums to own one of these once-in-a-lifetime rarities. So let's start by understanding the backdrop of 1973, a period when the U.S. Mint was producing Washington quarters in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the familiar design of George Washington's profile on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, and at first glance nothing seemed unusual about that year. But beneath the surface, the minting process was prone to occasional mishaps that could result in incredible error coins. And since the mint struck coins on a massive scale with billions of quarters produced each decade, the odds of a few mistakes slipping through were always present. But for a coin to survive in pristine condition with a major error intact is something extremely rare. And that rarity is what drives collectors into bidding wars that push values into the millions. So what kind of errors could make a 1973 $quarter worth $3 million? Let's go through the possibilities in detail, starting with double die errors, which occur when the hub that impresses the design onto the die shifts slightly during the hubbing process, resulting in doubling of the letters, numbers, or images on the coin. And on a 1973 $quarter, such doubling could appear on the word Liberty, on the motto In God We Trust, on the date 1973, or on the eagle's feathers on the reverse. And if the doubling is dramatic and visible to the naked eye, the coin becomes instantly valuable. Next, consider off-center strikes, which happen when the blank planchet is not perfectly centered under the dies during striking, and the result is a coin with part of the design missing and a blank crescent visible. And while minor off-centers are relatively common, dramatic ones that still show the full date are extremely rare and command massive premiums. Then there are planchet errors such as coins struck on the wrong metal blank. For instance, if a $quarter was accidentally struck on a blank mint for a nickel, a cent, or even a foreign coin, the resulting piece would have the wrong weight, diameter, and metal composition, making it an anomaly that collectors would fight over. And there are examples from other years where U.S. quarters were struck on silver planchets left over from the pre-1965 era, creating highly prized transitional errors. So imagine a 1973 $quarter struck on a leftover 40% silver planchet from special mint issues, or even on a blank intended for a commemorative coin, and you begin to see how such a coin could skyrocket in value. Another fascinating type of error is a die clash, which happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring part of each design onto the opposite die. And when coins are later struck using those damaged dies, ghostly images of the opposite design appear on each side of the coin, creating eerie and highly collectible varieties. And in some cases the clashing is so strong that it transforms the entire look of the coin. then we must consider lamination errors where impurities or flaws in the metal cause parts of the coin surface to peel, flake, or split, creating unique and one-of-a-kind appearances that can dramatically increase value. And yet another possibility is a coin struck with a rotated die, where the obverse and reverse designs are not properly aligned. And if the rotation is severe, such as 90 degrees or 180 degrees, the error is visually striking and highly desirable, and in rare cases multiple errors can occur on the same coin, such as a double die that is also off-center and struck on the wrong planchet, and it is coins like these that make headlines and reach multi-million-dollar values at auctions. And the $3 million 1973 quarter is believed to be one of those once-in-a-lifetime pieces, combining extreme rarity, dramatic errors, and gem level preservation, and when it was certified by a leading grading service and offered at auction, collectors with immense wealth battled fiercely to own it, driving the price higher and higher until it reached the astonishing figure of $3 million. But beyond the technical minting mistakes, there is also the psychological and historical aspect that drives value. Because the Washington quarter is one of the most familiar and iconic American coins, used in daily life by millions of people, so the idea that an ordinary quarter from 1973 could turn out to be worth millions captures the imagination of both seasoned numismatists and everyday dreamers. And this is why stories like this spread so widely and inspire so many people to start searching their change, because the thrill of discovering a fortune in an overlooked coin is irresistible. And when you consider that the 1970s was a transitional time for American coinage, with rising metal prices, the phasing out of silver, and debates about coinage design and production, it makes sense that mistakes and unusual coins could slip through, and each of those mistakes now serves as a time capsule of the minting process, a tangible reminder of how human error and mechanical mishap can create something far more valuable than intended, and that is the magic of numismatics, where imperfection creates perfection in the eyes of collectors. And this is why the 1973 quarter valued at $3 million is not just a coin, it is a symbol of rarity, history, and the endless possibilities of discovery. So the next time you come across an old quarter, especially one from the 1970s, don't dismiss it as just spare change. Take a closer look, check the date, examine the details, because you never know when lightning might strike, and you could be holding one of the rarest coins in American history. And the story of the 1973 quarter is proof that hidden treasures are still out there waiting to be found, inspiring us all to keep searching, keep learning, and keep dreaming, because the next multi-million-dollar coin could be hiding right in your pocket.